What's going on, Headliner Nation? Kyle back with the Fantasy Headliners, aka the Tight End Whisperer, to talk about my top 20 tight end rankings for week 2 of the NFL season. Off to a great start this year, number 4 overall in the industry for tight end rankings, week 1 of the NFL season. So feeling good. Got to keep rolling with it though, right? We got to get back up there to the number 1 spot like we were at last year for a while. So we're going to be working towards that right now. Just a quick disclaimer. Just want to make sure that I throw this out there to everybody. It is really, really important that if you follow us and value our opinion here and you use it towards making decisions, that you watch our start sit videos and our rankings videos, okay? Don't just listen to the start sit video and then forget about rankings. Don't just look at the rankings and forget about the start sit videos. It's really important to have both of those. One of the examples is that in my start sit video this week, I had OBJ listed as a sit until I found out Jarvis Landry might be limited last night. Saw some of those limitations coming through, figured it would be a problem, and then in the rankings video, I switched it over. A couple of people commented and said, man, how come you told me to sit OBJ? If you would have listened to the rankings video, you would have heard me give you the updated information and why that was no longer accurate and why I bumped OBJ up way up in my ranking. So just to keep that in mind as we head into next week, if you watch both of them, then you're getting the most up-to-date information and you're hearing the full story. So make sure that you're doing that if you watch our videos here on the Fantasy Headliners. But enough of that. We got to get moving forward. We got to talk about my top 20 tight ends. Let's jump into it right away. Let's take a look at number 20 overall for the week, Mr. Eric Ebron from the Pittsburgh Steelers. I'm really close to being off the Eric Ebron train. Wasn't really on it coming into the season. Then I started to look at it and say, you know, he does have some touchdown upside. If the guys on the outside are playing well enough, it could leave him open with some one-on-one coverage in the middle on some linebackers, which he could beat. They can put him out wide in the slot if they want to. I don't know if it's going to happen, ladies and gentlemen. I think this is going to be a year with Eric Ebron where, again, we're just waiting on touchdowns to happen. And with tight ends, that's great because if you're a tight end and you score a touchdown, that's basically going to make you a top 12 tight end and a start for the week. However, I really don't want to chase touchdowns every single week. Right now with Logan Thomas, one of the reasons I have him a little bit lower is because I'm wanting to see that volume continue. If I continue to see that volume, then yes, we're going to start bumping him even higher and higher up our rankings. Keep in mind that he was the guy that I talked about in our training camp update videos, and I told you all to keep an eye on him, that he could become fantasy relevant this year, and he's working his way towards that. I got him a little bit lower in the rankings this week just because we're gonna slowly work our way up to that, because as Dwayne Haskins gets a little bit more comfortable, starts opening up a little bit more, that's going to open up that relationship with Terry McLaurin. Or we've also got Steven Sims Jr. there that I like. So Logan Thomas, he could end up falling back a little bit. Then Antonio Gibson. Antonio Gibson starts to grow a little bit. Does that take away some of that? So then Logan Thomas at some point this year could become a little bit of a tight end dependent play, or a touchdown dependent play for tight ends. And right now, I'm just being a little bit cautious with that. Chris Herndon at number 18. This week, no Jamison Crowder, no Le'Veon Bell. Who in the heck does Sam Darnold have to throw the ball to? Okay? They've got Frank Gore in the running game. Listen, the targets are going to have to go somewhere this week, all right? Brashad Perryman's probably going to get a little bit more looks than he did last week, but Chris Herndon should be a benefactor of this as well and see a few more targets come his way. But honestly, this offense is just a mess right now. I've said it before. I'll say it again. Only person I was legitimately buying into was Jamison Crowder. At this point, Chris Herndon, this week for me, if you're playing with him as your tight end one, I'm already a little bit concerned. If you're thinking about streaming him this week, it's probably not that bad of an idea. But if you're trying to stream him over anybody listed above him, I'm going to go ahead and hold off on that, unless maybe you're wanting a little bit of safety over Mike Gesicki, okay? Now, again, this is a guy that continues to just be my kryptonite. I can't get the call right with him. Every time he's a start, he's a sit. Every time he's a sit, he's a start. Doesn't fail, going all the way back to last year. I just don't know what to do with the dude anymore. However, the matchup this week is not great, but almost all of his snaps last week were either in the slot or out wide. He is a tight end playing as a wide receiver. And when you have a guy like that you can put into your lineup at the tight end position, it's always worth a shot for his upside. Because if he gets enough targets, he's going to produce. I mean, there is a chance on a weekly basis Mike Gesicki could have some of the highest targets and be put in some of the best positions to win every single week. But I'm still concerned. It's a tough matchup. The wide receivers on the outside are going to be smothered for the entire game. Gesicki, depending on what they do with him, they're going to have to move him around a little bit. He's going to be a guy to make things work this week. It's going to have to be him. I got him listed as a start again. We'll see what happens. But at this point, if I say he's a start, you might as well bench him because I'm wrong every other week with him. O.J. Howard, it sounds like Chris Godwin is not going to play this Sunday. There's been some conflicting reports. Yesterday it was that he was unlikely to play. Today it was that, he's on the sidelines and practicing, he's ready to go. Then Adam Schefter tweets out he has not cleared the concussion protocol. He could clear it tomorrow, but even if he does, is that going to get him ready for Sunday? So it's doubtful at this point. It's unlikely that Chris Godwin plays. O.J. Howard, again, kind of like Mike Gesicki, is a tight end that's playing out wide, okay? He played in the slot or out wide for a majority of his snaps last week. Rob Gronkowski did not. Rob Gronkowski was on the line every single play except for one that he was in on. So Gronkowski last week was your prototypical tight end, playing on the line, being used to block and do those different things. He ran less routes than what O.J. Howard did. So with O.J. Howard, he's got some good upside this week because I like where this is going with no Chris Godwin and O.J. Howard being a target monster. A lot of people are saying Scotty Miller this week. I have no doubt that Scotty Miller is going to get some looks, but for me, it's O.J. Howard. Some of that Chris Godwin volume, I believe, will shift to O.J. Howard this week. And honestly, I'm waiting to hear on Chris Godwin, but if Chris Godwin is for sure out, O.J. Howard probably goes up to number 14 for me. I can't move Austin Hooper. Austin Hooper's already played. He was at 15. That's where I had him. Hayden Hurst is at 14. So Hayden Hurst and O.J. Howard would just swap on each other in my rankings because when we submit our rankings after they've played, you can't change them. So I would have to switch Hurst and Howard, but that's all right. That doesn't matter. Howard would jump up to 14 for me. Hurst would end up backing down. Again, I already said it. Austin Hooper's played. Hayden Hurst, I've got him at 14. He was a sit for me last week. I hit on that sit. A lot of people disagreed with me and can still continue to disagree with me. I get it. But Russell Gage got 12 targets last week. A lot of people were assuming Hayden Hurst was going to be the number 3 target on this team, but Russell Gage has been. Since that Mohamed Sanu trade, Russell Gage has been that guy. It's basically like the number 3 option. Yeah, last year Austin Hooper was that guy as well, but Hurst, again, older breakout player, coming into a new offense. For me, it's hard to continue to put him up there and start him until I see it start to happen. Didn't see it yesterday. He's never really been that big of a playmaker, even when he was in Baltimore. Yeah, he has some athletic traits that would perceive him to be that kind of a player, but I got to see it. Until I see it, I'm being very cautious with it. He's outside my top 12 again this week. Noah Fant, at this point, as of this recording, I still don't know what's happening with Courtland Sutton. Is he for sure going to play? Is he fully cleared to go? Is he going to be limited? Noah Fant could end up making a little bit of a jump for me as well when I hear more on Courtland Sutton. Obviously, with no Courtland Sutton last week, Noah Fant was locked in. If you own Noah Fant and you don't own anyone above him, or if you own Noah Fant and you only own maybe a few of the guys up ahead of him, play Noah Fant. I'm okay with it. He's a start for me this week. I like him regardless. His upside, though, is going to depend on where Sutton is. TJ Hockenson at number 12. I like TJ Hockenson still. He's a great athlete, but what in the world are the Detroit Lions doing with him? Because last week, he just didn't play that many snaps. He didn't run that many routes. He saw like a 12% target share. Not nearly enough. So we got to get TJ Hockenson more involved, Detroit Lions. You spent a freaking top 10 pick on him. Will you use him as such, please? If you're going to spend top 10 picks on these type of players, you need to use them. Head coaches drive me crazy with that, okay? Why'd you pick him if you're not going to use him? Evan Ingram at number 11. The volume was there last week. He's going to be a volume target, a volume hog in this offense. Daniel Jones is going to continue to go his way. But he had a big play called back by a penalty. He dropped another one. There was a touchdown potentially that was right outside of his grasp. So we're basically like 3 plays from seeing an entirely different Evan Ingram last week. You got to keep those things in perspective. Again, I tell you this over and over and over, Headliner Nation. There's a lot of people out there who like to look at box scores and think that tells you the whole picture. You look at the box score from week 1 and you see this many receptions, this many yards, no touchdowns. You automatically assume, see, told you Evan Ingram's a bust. You can't do that. You got to look at the bigger picture, Headliner Nation. Y'all know that. If you've been here for a while, you get that and you understand that mind thought and you're on board with us. If you are newer here, though, and you're still not really understanding that whole process, you really got to get on board for that. It's not just what you see in terms of those top layer stats. We got to go down below. We got to see some game film. We got to see what's happening during the game. Evan Ingram, to me, is still a top 12 tight end. Moving on to number 10, I told you last week I wasn't going to get hurt by him again, and he hurt me again, but in a different way. And right here, this picture you see, this is Dallas Goedert potentially serving up a fantasy win to his fantasy owners. He's got it on a platter for you this week. There's only been 7 games dating back to week 1 of last season where Dallas Goedert has saw less than 6 receptions. He's starting to become a guy that's being used more and more and more. Potential tough matchup for the wide receivers this week. Another chance for them to jump into that 12 personnel, 2 tight ends, and really utilize Dallas Goedert a little bit. I'm starting to get the feeling that Dallas Goedert is the safer play over Zach Ertz every week. Ertz is the guy that's been the vet, though. He's been there before. He's done that. He knows what he's doing. I'm still going to put Zach Ertz just a smidge ahead of him. But with Dallas Goedert, he's really developing into a guy that we can trust in our lineup every single week. So I told you last week I wasn't going to get hurt by him again. He did hurt me again, but he hurt me because I sat him instead of playing him. This week, we're going to list him as a start. We got him inside the top 10. I think he's going to have another good week this week. And number 8, my boy Johnnu Smith. Yeah. I know he had a good week last week. That late touchdown helped him out, obviously. But he still saw a decent amount of targets. And now A.J. Brown is out. And I've gotten a lot of questions about A.J. Brown. What's this going to do for the offense here? For me, I've always liked Corey Davis. And I've been waiting for the Corey Davis breakout. And this year I thought it might happen. But I thought it might happen because A.J. Brown, being like a true wide receiver, a true deep threat, could help take that pressure off Corey Davis and allow him to be the wide receiver that he was trying to be but wasn't successful at because he needed some help there. Well, I'm a little bit concerned about Corey Davis now. I still like him. Still have him as a start this week. Just don't know if that upside is there. I just got to see it. Again, I like Corey Davis. The problem with Corey Davis is he's possibly going to see some cornerback 1 coverage moving forward. Johnnu Smith doesn't have to worry about that. So now all of a sudden, Johnnu Smith goes from potentially being the 3rd target on this team to the 2nd target on this team. And honestly, if Corey Davis is seeing a lot of stiff coverage, if he can't get away from the defenders, if they're doing some over the top with the safeties on him, Johnnu Smith is going to be the guy that Ryan Tannehill is going to look to a little bit more often. So Smith, we could see some of that volume even start to climb a little bit higher and a little bit higher. At number 7, Tyler Higbee. Tyler Higbee, I'm feeling a little bit better on. Okay, Tyler Higbee was a big name to avoid for me this offseason. First game of the year, not great. Okay, I told everyone to temper expectations. Be careful with Tyler Higbee. But here's the thing that I could see moving forward. And I mentioned this in my start sit video. I want to mention it again. Gerald Everett might be dealing with a little bit of a back issue. Should be fine. No problems there. However, it's Van Jefferson that's really pushing the envelope for the Rams. Because if Van Jefferson is truly going to be that wide receiver 3, a guy that can perform week in and week out, then we might be pushing the Rams envelope and saying, you got to move back to running some more 3 wide receiver sets. You got to get away from having 2 tight ends on the field so often. If you think Van Jefferson, it truly is a better target and producer than what Gerald Everett could be, then get Gerald Everett back off the field, put Tyler Higbee out there, and run 3 wide receiver sets. If we do that, that helps Tyler Higbee, because at that point, then we could see him on the field more often, and even if he's on the field more often, he's not competing with Gerald Everett as a tight end. He's only competing with Van Jefferson, and because Van Jefferson's a rookie, and because Tyler Higbee's got a little bit over him right now, we're going to see a little bit more Tyler Higbee action. So for this week, maybe we see that. Maybe we see the Rams switch back out of that 12 personnel a little bit and decide running more 3 wide receiver sets with Van Jefferson on the outside to really be that deep threat. That guy that Brandon Cooks was at one point. That's going to open up doors for Tyler Higbee as well. So we're going to have him here at number 7. We're going to continue to monitor that as well. Tyler Higbee could be seeing a boost coming very soon. At number 6, Darren Waller. Still love myself some Darren Waller, and we saw last week that even though they've added weapons, Darren Waller is still going to be a number 1 target for Derek Carr. So let's go ahead and continue to run Darren Waller out there. Just want to see some more touchdown upside is what we want to see. The volume is going to continue to be there for him. We want to see the guy score some touchdowns. Those will come. Do not worry. Darren Waller at number 6. At number 5, Hunter Henry. He's Tyrod Taylor's favorite target right now. That much is for certain. We saw it in week 1 that he went to Hunter Henry quite a bit. Love Hunter Henry. Had him as a guy pretty high in my rankings if he stays healthy. The one thing that we're seeing Hunter Henry do right now is he's not losing any of those targets to Austin Eckler because Austin Eckler wasn't really used in the passing game last week. That could change moving forward if they decide to get Eckler more involved in the passing game. But for Hunter Henry, he could continue to be that number 1 target for Tyrod Taylor. And honestly, he's a pretty good one, so I'm okay with it. Number 4, Jared Cook. Jared Cook is going to see a big increase this week. No Michael Thomas. Jared Cook is going to be the guy. We're talking a lot about Emmanuel Sanders and Traquan Smith and Alvin Kamara, but Jared Cook is going to be the guy this week. I like Jared Cook a lot. He definitely has nice upside and nice floor potential. The guy could see anywhere between 10 and 13 targets this week. He could score a couple of touchdowns. He could catch 9 to 10 balls. I'm rolling with Jared Cook this week. He's going to be that safety blanket for Drew Brees, and he's going to be able to perform as such. George Kittle at number 3, just keeping an eye on that leg. You know, a little bit concerned about that leg. We just want to make sure he's healthy and fully ready to go. It sounds like he's going to play. Just continue to monitor that. Mark Andrews at number 2. Mark Andrews is a guy before the season listed him as a must-have tight end for the same exact reason that we saw last week. And what was that reason? An increase in snap percentage. Keep in mind that Mark Andrews and Hayden Hurst played the same amount of snaps last year, and Mark Andrews played half as many snaps as Travis Kelce. Now Mark Andrews was in last week, over 70% of the snaps, way up from last season, and look what happened. The dude is a target monster. He's a touchdown monster. He's the number 1 target on that team. Marquise Brown is healthy to really help pull that defense down the field. They have a great run game there. They've got some guys that could develop to be great, or I don't want to say great. Don't want to mislead you there. Could develop to be good wide receiver 2s. Mark Andrews is a guy that we're smashing the start button on every single week. And then, of course, Travis Kelce at number 1. You know, Travis Kelce, the only time he's not at number 1 or possibly even number 2 is when he has a bye week. And he's not on a bye week this week, so he's number 1. Of course. All right, there you go. Headliner Nation. Got you all squared away for tight ends this week. Make sure you make the best decision possible for your team. I got my rankings right here. I've got the information to back you all up. Make sure you check out the start sit videos. Keep all of those things together. And of course, if you have questions, leave them down in the comments below and we'll get to as many as possible. Do me a favor though, hit that like button if you appreciate the content and you enjoy coming here to watch it. And as always, if you are new to the Fantasy Headliners, hit that subscribe button. Become a part of Headliner Nation today. Within the next 48 hours, maybe 72 hours, we're going to be over 100,000 subscribers. Be a part of it before it's too late, Headliner Nation. You can say that you were here before we hit that 100K and help us get to that mark. So Headliner Nation, stay safe, stay healthy, and I'll catch you on the next episode of the Fantasy Headliners.